This is the Inny tailfire. It's a cascade similar style of fly. The difference being that more bulk in the tail, and there's a centre hackle and a front hackle on this fly. The colours are very same as cascade, but it's a very popular fly. So I'm going to show you how I tie this fly in. The hook I'm using is a Partridge Patriot. Tying silk is uni thread, red. I'll just tie this down to the top of the shank. I'm going to put on a butt on this of green glow bright, just very small, nothing too much. I'll just put this in, tie it down, then come back over. Now I'll just wind on this with just a few 2 or 3 turns, keeping it as narrow as possible. I don't want to overdo it. Roughly the width of the floss, maybe just a little fraction more, nothing too much. So next I'm going to put on the tail. The tail is in 2 stages. The first is of orange bucktail. Cut out a few fibres. Just align the ends. I don't like to kind of keep them too uniform, just a nice bit of a taper on them. Pull off any stragglers and add them back in there. Again, we don't need to overdo this, but again, the length of the body for me is maybe 1.5 times the length of the hook shank. So once I've added that, or what I think, I just add this in, just securing it nice and crisp before I just pull a little bit more through, just to add that bit of length. Because as I said, there's another top to this. This is just securing. The top half of the tail then is Arctic Runner, very nice material for salmon flies. Got a nice little crisp bunch of this with the tail. Just pull out the loose fluid down here and just kind of strengthen up the, again, don't have it too uniform, just a nice kind of taper flare out. So again, I'm just going to go the length of the bucktail with the tail, address it and catch it in. And that's your tail. Cut these fibres back off, just straighten them up there. Next, over the tail, add some gold crystal flash. Just 2 strands is sufficient. You don't have to go overboard with it. Again, address it on top, just to the way where you want it, so you can divide up those fibres. Just put it on nice and soft first to get it on top, and just secure it with a couple of turns, and then just put it in there. If you want to just pull it over a small bit, just like so. And I'll just put that in. I'm just going to cut this off to here. I will tidy up this. Coming back up to the butt. Don't go over that. So the next thing to put in is a bit of gold wire for the rib. I'm going to add this in this side, catching it down, keeping the body nice and flat. Again, back up to the floor. And what I like to use for the body on this fly, again, is some crystal flash. Just 1 strand, and just double it up, double it over. I just like this material because it kind of gives it a real nice glow. So I'll catch this in, and then just go down and wind this in as the first half of the body, going down, just stopping just before halfway, back up. The reason being for this is just to make the body nice and a lot stronger, even though the rib will strengthen it, because this is only a flimsy material anyway. So on top, catch it down, keeping the strain, and then just over you go. Cut that off, keep that bit for the overwing. So the wire now goes the opposite way to what I was winding the tinsel. So it's just 1, 2 solid turns, 3, and then over the top, catch it in. Again, nice and crisp, keeping the strain. Couple of turns, and then just jiggle this off so that it goes nice and flush, keeping the strain on this. One more turn there. For the hackles, what I use are these whiting badger dyed orange and yellow. They're very, very nice to use. So just pull out the yellow and the nice orange for the centre. Like I say, there's 2 hackles. The orange one for the centre, what I do with this now is stroke these fibres back, like so. You can see them there. Stroke them back, tie it right in at the centre, going down, and then pull the end back over. This gives it a bit more strength. Nice. You can pluck this off or cut it off. I'm going to go with the latter, so that I don't have to overdo the. So what I like to do with these now is just stroke these fibres back. You can use a scissors to dry them up, but I prefer on these hackles just to stroke them back, because they kind of give the fly, I think, a bit more pulse. So I can give this a few turns, because there we go. Now we're going to catch it in on this half, like so. Again, cutting it back, stroke the fibres back, and just tidy it up. Like so. Again, you can pluck this off or cut it. I'm going to again go with the latter just to cut it off, just to keep everything right. So I'll just tidy this up, keep it nice and flat. So now what I'm going to add is the front end of the body, which is black floss. I just use this black 1-strand floss, which does the job, and gold wire for the rib. So catch in the wire. Securing it, and then a strand of black floss, and under and over the top, pulling it back to where you want it, and a bit of wax just to pull off that. Nice and flat, keeping this piece flat so that you can, for the body. Now we'll go down, and come back up. This gives it a bit of bulk, and back down. Nice touch and turns, and catch it in, like so. Once you're happy with that, I'll catch that out, cut this piece off. So the rib now goes the same way, the opposite way to what you want the floss, so we'll go 1, 2, and catch it in on that. Keeping it nice and crisp. Now, just check that, make sure everything's okay. So again, jiggle that off. Once you're happy with that. Now for the wing, I like to use a bit of black squirrel. The softer fibres, the better. You can just pull out a nice little bunch that you feel is adequate for that. Now what I do is straighten these up, not again, try and keep them in the natural form that they were in, nice and. So now I'm going to add the wing, try and keep it roughly the length of the orange hackles, don't go any further. So once I've got it to there, I can now come in here, catch this off, cut these fibres off, just give them a bit of moisture, and a bit more wax here, again, catch them in there, and then roll over and sit up on top. Now, once you're happy with that, we had a couple of strands of the crystal flash again on top of the wing. So it's under up on top again, get the desired length that you want. I'm happy with that. Catch it in. Just, no, that's nice. So, got this off. Now we're going to add the yellow hackle. Again, I like to keep the fibres a little bit longer, maybe, so that they'll just go with the wing. So we stroke all the fibres back again, like so. Tie it in so that the shiny side is facing me, the dull side is facing the fly, and that gives it the natural curve. Pull this one back and catch him in. This secures it nicely. And back down to the eye. Again, I can pluck that off if I want, but I'll go to the cutting off. Stroke these fibres back on the turn. And there we go. Turn that. Stroking the fibres as you go. Pushing them back. Touching the last turn. And then one over the top. Catch that in. Now push the fibres back. You're going to have a few loose fibres. Push them back. Just stroke them back nicely. What I like to do is just stroke these back in and hold them in place. A couple of loose turns here before I go, and then just a bit of wax to really get these down. So go back down the front and then back up. If there's anything untoward, once you're happy with the dimensions on that, just have a look at it, see. Again, I can pluck this off if I want, but I've got little pointed scissors, just snig it off. So go into here, whip finish. Put just a small dab of wax on that just to hold it in place for the varnish, because you never know. Once I'm happy with that, I'll now apply a coat of red varnish. Under and over, if any excess here. Now, and if you need, then you can give it another coat later on. Once this dries, so I'm happy with that. That's your Inny tailfire. Very, very good fly.